record. Okay, so we're recording. This is what I'm working on. I'm doing the build out for your final project. I'll give you 3 programming language options, and I'm just writing out the different things that you have to do, but you'll have a lot of creativity options. Yeah, you can do SQL if you want to. You can do Bash Linux. You can do PowerShell. As you can see, I'm just going from top to bottom. So you'll have those in there, but you guys more than welcome to talk to each other on these. I don't care. It's 60% of your grade. And if you were programming in real life on the job, you don't do it in a vacuum. You talk to other programmers. So if you get stuck or you're like, hey, I have this really cool idea, how do I do XYZ? You're not going to be talking into a void. So,
Or the best way to program, hey, hold my beer. I got this.
right. Yeah. Well, I've seen that too. The trial and error, face plant into the wall repetitively. Yep. I've seen that too. So, whatever you want to do for the Bash Linux, when that comes up, I'm going to give you guys several options, but I want you guys to be able to use the knowledge that you've gained. And I want to be able to let you kind of go nuts and be creative. I want you to enjoy this rather than going the entire time. So I'll give you the minimums, like you're seeing listed out here. You'll see the minimums and the things that I'm going to look for. That'll be ticked off on I'll tell you how much it's worth 200 points. And I'll tell you the amount of points these areas are worth, or the percentages, or so you'll know. And then, yeah, I knew everyone was going to panic, but I also figured if I talked about it at least a week early and showed you how I was writing it out, and Gwen, you don't have to panic. We all know you're going to do really well. But you can do fun stuff. You can do Bash Linux. You can do PowerShell. You can do SQL. If you do SQL and you want to do a straight database like this is how you do that. If you decide that you want to do a combo, say you want to do a website, I did not put that in there as an option because we've done that a couple of times. But if you're like, hey, I have this really great idea for something, but it's kind of not exactly in the way this is written, talk to me. I'm willing to work with you guys creatively as long as you have something that I can write out a grading matrix for. Just talk to me first. Okay, guys?
I don't know why, but we were talking about dark humor earlier, and for some reason, tables, foreign keys, and the words dark humor all mixed into my mind
Oh no.
to give me something from I was like, I wonder how this would look if I wrote something like I was from Nazi Germany.
Oh dear Lord, please don't do that to me. Do not give me a prisoner registry for SQL. That's terrible. Also, bad humor. Big old caps. No, Steve. No, Steve. Yes, don't do that to me, please. Yeah. Let's not do that. Okay, so that's your previous. Let me go back to your assignments. So, okay, because PHP was a pain and we just mostly wanted to talk about how that mixed with other things. I did not put that one in there as an option. I mean, if you're like I really want to work with PHP and HTML and stuff, then that's fine. If you want to do a website that has HTML and SQL, that's fine. I don't think a purely HTML one is a good idea. You're going to have to do some more with HTML in there. So it just has to cover the stuff that we've gone over, but I'm going to put out SQL, Bash, and PowerShell because they seem to be the ones that people got the most excited over and came up with the most creative stuff on. So that's why. Yeah, you can do PowerShell, you can do Bash. I have a feeling that's where a lot of what people are going to do, but I figured I'd throw SQL out there in case somebody decided that they wanted to do that. That's fine with me too. Okay, so this week we've been talking about this, and I have a feeling from the chatter I'm hearing, there's a lot of people that are making this harder than it has to be. Well, okay, that's a very, very strong opinion on SQL. So no SQL for German. Gotcha. That's fine with me. You have two other options. And there's a ton on both Bash and PowerShell that's out there. So this PowerShell script, when I was talking to Steve, he was asking about how do I put this stuff out? And I was like, well, you can do a write to a text. And he was like, so we came up with this on accident. We ran into stuff, and I've actually never seen the start transcript commandlet because I've never used this one. But this is an excellent idea for this project. It's actually pretty good. You don't have to use all the stuff that's on here, but this portion right here is actually a really awesome idea. Because you say start transcript path, and then, we have our little fake path here. And it would just be that path plus whatever you want to name your text file. And then you put your stuff that you're doing there for this, the gathering the local machine drive info or machine info, and then prompting for all that. And then at the end of that, you do stop transcript. So this is a really good option because it'll start that. And that's where it says it's going to send it out. You do all your stuff in here, stop transcript, and it dumps it out into that text file. And yes, is my it's done noise apparently. So does that, I mean, you can also pipe the commands out to just a plain old text file, which is that write command that we've talked about. But this start transcript, and I put a link to it out on Discord, so you guys can, if you're like, now what was that with the start transcript, that you can do this on here as well. And then they have an error thing if you want to suppress errors down here on the bottom to give you stuff. That's just some things in there if you want to use that. So are there questions on the ins and outs of this that you guys have right now? Have you guys, and I know there's quite a few of you that started working on this. Are there any particular problems that some of you are having that you want to talk about? Because now is the time. I can actually walk through it with you right now. And we're all going to be super quiet now that I've actually talked to you. Okay, so did any of you go through this video? Did you watch the video? Okay, I'm going to pull that up and we'll watch that. Let me just, the sound is just some really annoying music. So we don't need to see that. Okay, so this is the nice thing on here that I thought you might be interested in, because you can pause it and it literally walks through how you do these little tiny sections here. So the first one is your RAM and memory. Second one is your CPU and processor. Third one, that's your motherboard information. The next one shows the computer serial number, which would be a good one. And a lot of times you have to use if you're doing asset tracking. Then remember how I talked about the hard drive details? Sometimes you have to do that. Well, you don't need to do that one for this project. That's like super insane. Let me go back. Because you can see all the different options that you can do for hard drives. But what you guys really need is right there on the bottom. Get computer info. So that one's super not hard. That is probably the easiest one that you can do. But if you also want to throw in some specific ones, look right here. It shows you how to do all that literally commented out for you guys so you can see it. So I highly suggest that you use this resource. Actually, I do hate that Blackboard does that. So I have to go back in and hold on. So, and then don't forget we have our, if you're asking questions for different things, we have our Microsoft building here. I walked over some of this with you guys last week. And you can see this looks familiar. It's some of the stuff you used in that video.
Yeah, I was gonna say the ones that you told us we needed to make sure we had was the get sim instance class name,
Yep,
and
this
then
top
get
one.
the Win32 BIOS, the Win32 operating system, uh, type, and then select object, property build, OST type or OS type, and then service pack all, and then get sim instance desktop.
Yep.
Those are the three that you said we needed to for sure
So
have on
there's
ours.
these. Yep. And then there's, and you can see them right here.
Sorry, Rob. I just have a quick question.
Yep.
Did you cover what information you want this script to get? Or is it just like, hey, just get some basic information about the computer?
You just need basic information off the computer, but I would really like to see you do these to get a little more information than just the regular one. But if you're having super amounts of trouble, you can do the basic one. But I would really, when you're doing security, yes, thank you. I'm going to copy that. The ones that I was talking about are the ones that you usually, that Steve copied, and I'm just going to copy and paste those. Those are the ones that when you're doing a lot of security, when you're pulling information for security, those are the ones that you're going to want to get. So I will throw those down in, well, dang it. It always moves right when I try to click. I will throw those down in here on the bottom so that you guys can see which ones I'm after specifically. But don't forget, I also need that prompt for computer name. Now, when I was talking to Steve, he brought up a good point. A lot of times when you're working on a network, they use the IP address. So you can use the IP address as the computer name that it prompts for. The reason that I went with computer name is so you can test it on your local computer. But if you want to go with, if you would prefer to go with the IP address being listed as the computer name, I believe it should work both ways on there. So you can do computer name or IP address on that one, either one of those, because it will identify pretty much the same thing.
If you want to see, I've got mine
Oh,
for
let me
the,
stop.
like, I've still got to write the else, or well, I've got the else, but I've still got to write the do section. But yeah, so mine is,
Yep, you should be able to share it now.
sure. So basically, start transcript. It's really, as Anna was saying earlier, it's really nice. Basically, anything that goes in between start and stop transcript, it'll automatically send it somewhere. I've still got to write up where it needs to send it. Oh, no, never mind. I already got it.
You'll need to
So
put your, did you put your text file name up there?
no, that was what I have that, actually have that written as a note to make sure I remember.
Okay,
But
yeah, that's the only thing I see missing on that.
yeah, and then so basically the way it would work was once it's got the text file name, or it's told itself that it needs to save it as a text, it'll do that. And then if any of the machines that you enter the IPs are between these two made up this made up block of IP addresses, it'll run all these commands. And if they're not, it'll tell you invalid IP, or yeah, invalid input, and tell you to do it correctly or to try again.
Yeah, and so that's a good way if you want to set some what do you call it? Some parameters on what they can and can't enter. So like he's got that block that they can enter between, and then it errors out if they have anything other than that. Which is a good idea if you're doing network administration, because even when you're working with technicians, usually the technicians that you're working with are tier 1 or tier 2. So limiting what they can put in gives you the better options for what comes out on your script. So that's actually a really good idea. So that's an excellent idea. That's a good way to put it in. Good job, Steve. But yeah, you can do computer name if you want to. Yeah, a lot of times there's an asset tag, and they like some of the places that I've gone to, they have a naming convention where they have the asset tag as the computer name, which is really nice. Sometimes you'll see they have like an appended thing in front of it, like if I remember correctly, I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think the school district used SD25 dash because it's school district 25, and then they had the tag number. I think that's what they said as their generic computer name. I could be wrong, but ISU uses different ones like that. And it's always a good idea to set, if you can, your asset tags and your computer names, because if you're running an asset system, it makes tracking a lot easier if you have computer names and asset tags tied together. I worked with an asset system that was just garbage, in a couple of places, and they did not have the tables tied together well, and the inputs weren't cleansed, so people could pretty much put anything they wanted to in there, and it was just a mess. So if you're doing it right, that's the best way to do it. Okay, anybody else have anything that they've got that they've worked on that they want to share? Even if it's just a little bit of it? Has anyone else even started? Everyone's quiet. I'm gonna say I think that's you're all either haven't started or you only started a little bit. Okay. So do you guys understand, and do you guys have a idea of the road to follow? Because I don't want you to get into the weekend when it's due Sunday and go, well, crud, I don't know what to do. Okay, because I don't know how much I'm going to be around on the weekend. I'm super nice and I do answer messages on the weekend, but technically we're not, on contract on a lot of that. So if I'm not near a computer, you're kind of SOL. So get your questions in now. But anyway, so that's what's going on there. And I will get out the rest of the stuff for that. Tomorrow, we are going to be doing more autopsy. Has anyone had any, have you guys been able to let your computer sit and rerun through the files? Is it looking a little better?
I turned my Windows Defender off and ran it, and still nothing changed.
Rude. Okay, well, we can just work with the data that you do have. I mean, there's nothing in there, I don't think, that's required that you can't see.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm in the same boat as Mike and Nick. I've literally ran it twice since since we got done yesterday. And while I do have the keyword hits up to 16,000, I'm still missing a bunch of the stuff that you had in the video.
I still do not. I'll have to go look up and see if there's some tweaks that I can maybe have you guys try on your settings and see if we can we can try that. I'll take a look at that. But yeah, Gwen, I'm not surprised. Mine ran for several hours while I was doing stuff. But I'm a little disappointed that it didn't pull anything else up for you guys. So, okay, well, I'm going to stop it here because we're going to do some practicum work on homework. So the recording portion is done. So I'm going to stop.